start off this big old ENN by saying good evening to Michael.
You're losing. You're losing.
I liked it in stereo.
Michael, you're a very passionate man. No one can say that you've lost your passion. You still have it. Good evening to Michael and Don.
So,
Respond.
Peter, now undress our good friend Don.
Do it.
Now we say good evening to Don.
You blank the Rays.
Wow.
That was in the moment when Soto was answering back Suri's home run trot. So I was supporting. But he did.
We say good evening to Don.
And win championships forever.
And good evening to Don.
1921. We've just survived the Spanish flu.
Good evening to Don.
Hey, Skipper.
And to Don.
Babe was fueled on hot dogs and women.
Pretty good fuel.
And, of course, we also say to Don. And to Don.
It's a little oral fixation of just having it in my hand. Brings back some memories.
That's the one that hit with
Whatever you're thinking, yes.
Wow.
And good evening to myself. Oh, what an hour. You kidding? Killing? But yeah.
Was catch you in the middle of something?
I had a little struggle there. I didn't know.
Those go good together.
Yeah.
Good evening to Griffin.
Hey,
Good evening to Griffin.
I love you, Tessa.
And Michael, this one's important. This may be the greatest thing Griffin's ever said to the show. There are things you can doubt, but you can't doubt the poetry of things like this.
All right.
Dude, if you lose, you don't win if you lose. There's no win.
Wow. Deep.
Don't you think?
Barry, I don't even know what to say.
It's moments like that when you go.
Why you don't take him every day?
You go. This guy's just special. All right, guys. Welcome to ENN. Let's get into Jordan Love for a moment. He will not practice, Michael, or play until a contract gets done. But apparently, the GM, Brian Gutekunst, is not worried about it.
I think it was Saturday night. They kind of informed us that until we get something done, that he would not practice. So unless something gets done here before practice starts here pretty soon, he will not be practicing. But again, I think this is something we're all working on, and we certainly understand where he's coming from. We'd like him to be out there. It's important for him to be out there, working with his teammates. So he reported last week. He's taking part in everything else.
Can we stop feigning outrage and realize that the world has changed on a dime? Players run sports. GMs don't. Owners don't. Players do. Period. They do. They do what they want, and nobody tells them what to do.
But I don't put this in that category. We've had athletes holding out.
I get it. But
forever.
but usually the GM would say, "He better get in here. We're not going to do that." No, they're afraid of every single professional athlete.
Well, but the difference is, Michael, they know the teams know they have the hammer over the players in football. They're
no, but some players like Jordan Love have the hammer over the.
But ultimately, Michael, who do you think is going to win that battle?
Jordan Love.
They're not going to. But he'll be back in camp. They'll give him the money that they think
he'll be back
deserve.
in camp when he gets the money he wants.
Well, it probably helps that he's a quarterback for sure.
Right.
But they'll play the game. But he's not going to miss games, Michael. I mean, they'll miss the beginning of training camp. They'll give him the money that they're probably going to give him anyway. Maybe a little bit more. They'll make it work. He won, but he's not. But ultimately, Michael, he's not going to cut off his nose to spite his face. Michael, he's not going to hold out. He's not going to miss training camp. He's not going to miss one game. He had an amazing year last year. He's 26 years old. At the end of the day, he's going to play and add to what I think is going to be a quarterback that might be the best quarterback in the NFC when it's all. All right,
so let's remove all of this holding out stuff. He's probably going to get anywhere, I'd say, from $54 to $60 million a year.
Not bad.
Okay. Now, as Don said, he showed out last year, especially from week 9 right through the playoffs.
Right. He was great.
That enough to give him $60 million? Has he shown? I mean, really, it's 1 year.
It's 1 year,
You're giving him
Michael.
probably a $300 million 5-year deal for 1 year.
Well, let's go over the math.
Okay.
Anthony, you have the numbers here? Can you pull up who the top quarterback numbers are?
Well, now it's...
We know that Mahomes got his money now, right?
But he's still, I don't think he's
Trevor
still
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
If Trevor Lawrence has the most.
Justin Herbert.
And Justin Herbert. God, I'll tell you right now, Love is going to be better than Lawrence and Herbert.
But Lawrence and Herbert, you'd have to admit, Peter, have shown you more of what they are.
They have.
Okay.
Than Jordan Love has.
They have, but Love did something else there, right? Like he was patient. He sat there. He did what he needed to do. And then when they gave him the ball last year, he was absolutely lights out. He made the team a different team.
Yeah, right.
So, like, it's hard for them to not say he should get paid the way everybody of that ilk is getting paid. All right, Anthony has the top 5 quarterbacks getting paid, or what their salary is.
Okay, so let's go by average per year, right?
That's
Let's
right.
do that. That's easiest.
Sure.
$55 million a year for both Burrow and Lawrence. Jared Goff is now third with $53 million. Justin Herbert, $52.5 million. Lamar Jackson, $52 million.
And all of them have bodies of work. I'm not saying that Love doesn't deserve it.
So he shouldn't be more than those guys, but he'll probably be right there at 50.
But they have more of a body of work, is what I'm saying. And one other thing, Peter, that you should know. Of those 5, the top 5, 3 of them, and I'm not going to say who they are, have asked me for Yankee tickets, and Pusick didn't.
Now,
it's a shame, Michael. It's a shame.
Now, Herbert hasn't won a playoff game. Lawrence has won 1. Burrow's gone to a Super Bowl. All right, so it's all in the eye of the beholder. Love, as Peter said, has been patient. They obviously got out of the whole Aaron Rodgers thing because they really believe in this kid. They drafted him. It was a controversial draft that upset Aaron Rodgers. Eventually, they've given the team to him over Rodgers. So they obviously believe in him. And he had a season in which he threw, 32 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, over 4,000 yards. He's not even 26 years old yet, or he just turned 26. So this is kind of the going rate.
Yeah, you're right.
And you might, if you believe in him, Michael, and you end up giving him, say, $55 million a year or 56, whatever it is, and he ends up throwing for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns and gets this team to a Super Bowl, you might look at that and go, wow. Good thing we did that, because if we had waited or we didn't get, we might be giving the guy even more money.
All right, so now let's look at the other side of the story, though, Don. If he completely craps the bed in the second year, you're going to go, whoa, we've just crippled our franchise for the next 4 years.
But you're not looking at it that way because you drafted him high.
No,
you believe in him. So obviously that's not where you're going to bet.
Now, the other thing that Ballard would tell you, Peter,
what would he tell you?
how many organizations have had 3 great quarterbacks in a row?
We spent some time on that today.
This is pretty special.
It's absolutely insane.
Because we're thinking Sapatico. I asked Peter the same thing. We've seen the Manning to Luck. We've seen the Montana to Rodgers. Have we ever seen the third one?
Montana to Rodgers.
Montana is the young.
Excuse me. Okay, yeah.
We've never seen 3.
No, it's unbelievable. And it's a small market that really needs that. They need to be good all the time. And they've hit on 3 straight quarterbacks. Now, they traded for Favre. They drafted Rodgers, and they drafted Love. And they drafted Rodgers while Favre was still a great quarterback. And they drafted Love when Rodgers is still a great quarterback. And these are different GMs.
Michael, it's like... I just can't even quite fathom what that is.
Again, it's the equivalent of the Steelers having 3 head coaches in over 50 years.
Yeah, you're right. That's pretty much it.
It's that level.
It's even crazier, though.
Now, we've seen quarterbacks like we were talking about in Washington. Theismann won a Super Bowl, and Williams won a Super Bowl, and Rippon won a Super Bowl. All right, it's not just that, because we don't know if Love's going to win a Super Bowl or not. But if Love ends up being great, you're talking about 3 Hall of Fame level quarterbacks. Now, Love's got a long way to go, but at least we've seen in his first full season numbers that suggest that this might be a pretty special quarterback. And it's not saying a lot for him to be the best quarterback in the NFC. Who's he got to topple? He's got to topple Hurts, which is not nothing. He's got to topple Purdy.
No, he's going to be, Michael, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback next year.
Yeah, he is. That's why you make the deal.
And so they're going to have to give him $50 million, which is nice.
I think it's going to be more than that.
It's like the stock market.
What, Michael, 52?
I think he might get over 55. He's in the catbird seat here.
Yeah, he's in a good spot because they're planning on having a season this year, and that's all based on him. Jordan Love doesn't play this year. I don't know who they have backing up, but it's not another Jordan Love right now.
No.
Aaron Rodgers was on Pardon My Take.
Why not?
And he says he didn't miss minicamp.
Now it's not minicamp. They can arbitrarily put a tag on whatever week of OTAs they want. So this is the minicamp week, which makes it somehow more mandatory than the other weeks. But it was an OTA schedule. That's how words can be a little deceiving from time to time. You can make a story out of the fact that I missed a minicamp when it was really 2 OTA days.
Right. Interesting.
I came to the first 10.
Right. So this is a media thing.
And you would never change the meaning of a word or deliberately tell people
No,
one
of course
thing.
not.
No, you are, because it's mandatory, and you said it wasn't. So you are trying to change the definition of the word. But whatever. So do what you want. But tell me he's not being that guy. He's taken something that was mandatory, as foolish as that might be, Michael, and to him it wasn't. So he's just trying to be that guy. And you've decided, I'm good with it.
So every single teammate on the Jets, other than Reddick, who was in a contract holdout, showed up. They had to be there, and they did. Now, we'll get these phone calls tomorrow. Well, the Jets teammates don't get anything because they're gutless and they're afraid of them. And you're not going to ever say anything about Aaron Rodgers.
No.
So even if they felt, why is he not here? They wouldn't say it. They're afraid.
Also, and it's smart, too. Why should they cause a controversy?
Right. It's not, they could be upset and talk amongst themselves. They're not going to tell the media.
And that's the right thing to do. It's just something that he's taking advantage of. All right, so just go out there and ball out. But you can't add more pressure. I mean, he's got a ton of pressure to begin with anyway. And the thing is that could end up hurting him is there are people like you, Michael, that believe that he has to win a Super Bowl or it's a failure. And you're entitled to that opinion. You know how hard that's going to be to do, even if he balls out?
Yep.
Now, I had this argument during the Beach Bash with Bart Scott. He thinks that they already have the scar tissue. I think you've got to learn to lose before you win. I'm not saying
what's
lose.
their scar tissue?
That's what I'm saying. Like his
scar tissue is his Achilles.
The team's scar tissue is the fact that they haven't been to the playoffs in a dozen years. But I think sometimes you've got to learn to lose in the postseason, get that experience. I know they've got experience here, there on other teams, but overall, it's really hard to go from 7 wins, no matter what the reasons were that you won 7 games, to winning a Super Bowl. Usually, there's got to be some trials and tribulations, right? You get to the divisional round, you lose. Like it's really hard to just all of a sudden win. It's not impossible, but it's really hard. And they're in a conference, Michael, that's laden with great teams and great quarterbacks. Michael, he can have an MVP caliber season and not win. And you know how I know that? Because he won MVPs in Green Bay and didn't win. It's really hard to win. So the pressure that's on him is enormous because even if he balls out, it may not be enough.
I will say this on July 22nd.
All right, just on July 22nd.
I reserve the right to recalibrate my opinion. If they win the Super Bowl, I will be flabbergasted.
Oh, me too.
Now, what are you basing that on?
Everything.
Because of everything that you just said.
Right.
I mean, as much as we like Robert Saleh personally, do we know that he can coach big games? Do we have any idea? And the other players.
Right.
Well, have they played in big games? Did I miss any?
So I believe there's enough there that if he's healthy, he's going to have a fabulous season. I think there's enough weapons there. I think that he's that good of a quarterback. But whether that's enough to win or not, that's why I think it's really hard, Michael. I understand what you're saying, that he's got to win a Super Bowl for them. But I don't think that's remotely guaranteed no matter how well he plays.
But even if it's not remotely guaranteed, is all of this angst and distractionary stuff, is it worth it if they don't win a Super Bowl?
Yes.
Is it worth his nonsense?
Yes.
Or if they get wear done.
If they become a playoff team and win a playoff game, I think to the Jets, because you're talking about a team that has not gone to the playoffs since 2010.
But Don, he's going to be 43.
I understand, but Michael, they're winning now.
But once he leaves, what do you have?
Right.
If you didn't win a Super Bowl, what did you get out of this?
You're actually in a worse place than you were when you got here.
This is now going to be the second offseason in which they've really captivated at least this town. Last year, I think they captivated all the NFL. Now, I think that's kind of worn off for the rest of the nation.
Right.
But it's going to be the second consecutive year that they've owned New York once things start, of just the attention that they're getting with Aaron Rodgers, the ratings
what does
they'll
the
get,
attention mean?
Well, but again, I think it means something
But
to the
Don,
Jets, Michael, that they're not a laughing stock anymore. People are paying attention to
Are
him.
they? But Don, if they don't win a Super Bowl while he's here and then he walks away, so they're a playoff team, they're not in any position to get a franchise quarterback. They're right there again.
I agree. But I do think that Woody Johnson, and maybe obviously not Robert Saleh because he might be out of a job, but I think to a lot of people within that organization, if they go to the playoffs, if they win a playoff game, I think they would look at that as a victory compared to what the last decade has been.
I hear you, and I think you're right. It would be an upgrade, but, man, it still would be a disappointment. Can it be both?
Again, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? I don't know what they're thinking inside those rooms. I don't know how many tickets they've sold. I don't know how much money they've made off the back of Aaron Rodgers so far without him doing anything.
If they were to win a playoff game, and that's it, then he leaves, they'd have to be disappointed. Because the point was not to throw away the first year to injury.
But Woody Johnson needs to make money off the Jets. That's why he owns the Jets.
Here's the difference. Yes, they'd be disappointed, but would they regret doing it? I don't think so.
They'd regret doing it if the next 3 years they're searching for a quarterback and they stink.
No, they've been searching for a quarterback for 50 years.
But that's my point. You didn't find one here for the long term.
Yeah, but we don't know.
So they have to win a Super Bowl.
All right, but I don't know if they didn't do it and sign Derek Carr, would we be in any different
so if they got Derek Carr done, do you think they could have gotten to the playoffs and won a playoff game?
No, they won 7 games without a quarterback.
All right, so then they would have Derek Carr for 5 to 7 years.
But I'm sure they've gotten a ton of attention. They wouldn't have gotten the nationally televised games that they got. I think it means something for a team that's been a laughingstock to getting to play in the first ever Black Friday game, to play as many nationally televised games as they did, to be on Hard Knocks last year. I mean,
Don, this is all.
Listen, I'm not telling you it's right.
Okay.
But will they look at it and regret it, or will they look at it and say, at least we were on the map for a couple of years?
They could lie to us and say they're happy about it.
But doesn't that tell you that their priorities are all screwed up if this is what they aim for, to get on nationally televised games?
All I know is they knew what they were signing up for, Michael, and there was no guarantee that there was a Super Bowl at the end of the rainbow, right? They had no idea. You have no idea that you could win. None.
Here's something fun we can all enjoy. Michael, it seems like the Condor is getting ready to take flight during the Olympics, huh?
Yep.
Another big performance, another win for Team USA.
Another near loss.
Another near loss, but they do beat Germany, and he looks like he is poised to ball out. 20.6 rebounds, 4 assists.
And he's going to carry the flag.
That's right. Here's LeBron on being a flag bearer at the Olympics.
That's special in the fact that, to get an opportunity to represent your country, and in another fashion, to be able to understand how prestigious, this moment is, and for someone to be the flag bearer and to wave the flag, not only for us as a men's national team, but for all the Olympians. I hold that with the utmost honor, and it's definitely something that my family and my community and my friends is something that will live on forever, and super appreciative and super humble about it.
That'll do it for ENN, brought to you by Security Dodge. Shop 24/7 at securitydodge.com during their Make This the Summer event. My last ENN as a 44-year-old human.
And before the Subway Series, which we'll cover really tightly tomorrow. See everybody. Have a great night.